Excuse me, what's up, everybody? So, as y'all know, my column helper is in. It's pretty cool. Couple things I want to point out is how awesome they provide you with these labels to wire your stock wiring on your column, which makes the install super easier. And this is the tether that comes for the actual column helper that plugs into it, and it's also labeled. The instructions are super user friendly. I mean, they're as basic as they get. The first thing I did tonight was label this, kind of clean it up, kind of get my bearings, see what I exactly needed to do. And then I decided to tackle the harness modification. So if you guys don't know, there's instructions on this to follow if you want to use 11 to 16 steering wheel buttons on the 08 steering wheel. So people are like, well, why do you want to do that? Why don't you just run the 08 harness? Well, because I want to use the newer buttons because I will be using the cluster. So I will be getting the cluster helper once it comes out, and I want to use the actual display on my cluster. I want to be able to navigate through my display, and like me, I like to always have my digital speedometer up on the cluster on my other trucks. So that's what I want to do with mine. I just want to move it around, see my digital cluster, and have it going on my truck. So that's why I chose to modify my harness and run the 11 to 16 buttons. As you can read, it says this allows you to use the newer cruise buttons and the directional pad for the newer 11 to 16 cluster. So I have my cluster already done, ready to go. So basically what you have to do is follow these nice cool little instructions right here with the pin out, and you take your 08 harness and you take this pin, you take these out, you swap the pins from the 11 to 16 onto this one, take it off the 08, because this is the one that comes with the 16, that gray one. So as you can see, it's different, and it plugs into this clock spring. So you can see the big one's definitely not going to work. So following the directions tonight, I went ahead and modified my 08 my 16 harness with the 08 pin out end, the pigtail end. So now I can run my 16 buttons that I ordered. Quick little story about how I got to this, where I'm at with the column. I wanted to run a different steering wheel because if everybody noticed by now, I have a 1517 dash in my truck. I got it from a 15 F-150. It's similar to the 17 Super Duty dash, same thing. So when it came to steering wheel choice, I didn't want to run the Super Duty steering wheel because it completely looked out of place when I put it on there, and it on this to kind of look at it against the dash, it looked way out of place on the 17 style dash. So I had another option that I thought about. So I got an Expedition steering wheel. It looks pretty good. I thought it looked okay. It just kind of still, it was just a little bit different from what I wanted. I couldn't run the 15, 16, or the 17 Super Duty steering wheel, 15 F-150 steering wheel, because of the navigation buttons were different. If you guys can tell, these on the Expedition are exactly the same as on your Super Duty. So yes, your 11 to 16 harness is exactly the same harness that comes with this Expedition one. It has the same tie-ins to it, the same pin out reading, different color wiring, but it's in the exact same spot for the pin out. So you can take this harness and run it if you want with the 08 end on it. Well, the other choice that I had was this one that I decided to run with. This one looks exactly almost similar to a 17 style steering wheel. This steering wheel came from a Ford Explorer. Now, the reason I chose this one is because these buttons are the same exact part number as the ones on the Super Duty. Even the harness behind it is exactly the same. So I ordered the 11 to 16 Super Duty buttons for the left and the right. They'll be coming in here sometime. the end of this week. We'll swap those out with the new harness I built. Also, I love this steering wheel, but I noticed that the Explorer doesn't offer the silver cladding that goes around these. So looking around the internet, I found that the Mountaineer has the cladding. So I ordered a Mountaineer steering wheel too, because I like that silver cladding. It kind of just like looks good. I'm probably gonna paint to match the cladding. The silver probably will be blue, and then these buttons, the surround will be orange to match everything on the build of my truck. But yeah, this steering wheel, I'll probably have it up for sale as is right now with the 08 buttons. You will need the 08 harness unless the steering wheel from the Mountaineer that I ordered comes with the harness. I'll throw that harness in if anybody wants this one. I'll be using the airbag, so you guys will have to buy a new airbag. I think I paid like 50 or 60 bucks for the Mountaineer steering wheel, so probably that's what I'll ask for this one. I know I paid 67 for this one when I ordered it, and it's in great shape. So if you guys don't want to run the Super Duty one, want to run something different, you can use this one. The diameter is probably about 1/4 inch off. That's about how small it is. They're pretty similar, man. So I chose to go with this one. I think it's gonna look good in the truck once I put it in there. Only time will tell. We'll see. If anything, I'll go back and run the Expedition steering wheel, but for now, I think that Mountaineer steering wheel, once I get it in and get it the way I want it, it'll look pretty good. But yeah, that's where we're at with the column helper. I'm gonna try to finish everything else. I think the only thing else I have left on this one is the multifunction switch wiring. The reason I chose to leave that last is because if you guys remember, I'm putting this in my Excursion, so I had Chris Valentine build me this multifunction switch for a rear wiper option for my Excursion. So we basically took the multifunction switch from the Super Duty and the Expedition and fused them together and made me a nice one, because now my button is the same height that it needs to be, and it'll, once the column cladding's on, you'll be able to have access to the button. Otherwise, if you try to use the Expedition one, the button's like short, you can't reach it, you gotta like poke into the cladding. So but that's what I got update for now, guys. We'll be chucking away, and if you haven't ordered one yet, man, or if you missed out on the pre-order, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't miss on the pre-order for the cluster helper, because that one's coming out next. So I'm gonna jump on that one too. It's pricey, but I think it's definitely worth it. And as you can tell, it's not very thick, it's not very invasive. This will tuck right up under the dash. For you guys that are running the Super Duty dashes, this will bolt onto your actual dash. I have the 17 dash in mind, so I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to mount this under there. I got plenty of room under there to play with. We'll see where I mount it to still have access to the relay should the relay go out. But I can't wait to get this in the truck, get my column swapped, and have at least a new looking steering wheel. And man, when that cluster helper comes out too, I can't wait to put that in my truck and finally be running a new cluster, new column. Nice new style stuff. So keep you guys posted.